Welcome to this course on stochastic modeling. In this lecture, we will discuss about the Poisson stochastic process. Poisson stochastic process finds wide application in modeling different scientific, engineering, and problems from humanities. Let us consider that events occur in a random manner and it is being observed. And suppose we plot the point of occurrence or the time of occurrence of events on the time axis, and we look at the time duration between the successive events that occur. So if you view these points to be analogous to arrivals of some customers, then we basically looking at what are called as the arrival process, which is whose one example or a realization is shown in this figure. So starting at an arbitrary time 0, let the first event occurs at a time x1. Then at the time x2, from x1, the duration x2, after the arrival of the first customer, in the case of an arrival process, or the first event on a generic process, the second event occurs. So the time at which the second event occurs is x1 plus x2, or the inter event duration between the second and the first event is x2. In a similar manner, x3 denotes the inter-arrival time between the third event and the second event. Okay, third arrival and the second arrival, or the duration between the third and the second event, or the absolute time at which the third event occurs is x1 plus x2 plus x3. And if you start counting the number of events or the number of arrivals, then it will be 0 till the time x1, then it will jump to 1, and it will remain at 1 between the time x1 and x1 plus x2, and it will jump to 2 between the duration x1 plus x2 to x1 plus x2 plus x3. So if you look at a process, stochastic process called n of t, which denotes the number of events that has occurred starting from a time 0 till a given time t, then that will form a stochastic process, n of t. So that represents the number of events that has occurred till time t, starting from an arbitrary time t is equal to 0. So what will be the nature of this stochastic process? Here it will have a discrete state space, because the number of events that has occurred has to be discrete, and further it will be non-negative integer valued quantity, because we cannot say negative numbers of events has occurred. 0 or 1 or 2, it will go on to infinity. So that is one thing, and we can observe it at any arbitrary time t. So the time is continuous. So it is a discrete state, continuous time stochastic process. That is immediately evident. Now, if these variables, there is also another stochastic process that can be defined. x1 denotes the time of arrival of the first arrival, that is the customer. x2 is the duration between the second and the first customer, or the arrival between occurrence of the second event and the first event, and so on. x3 is between the third and the second. So we can club them together and then form another process called as stochastic process comprising of x1, x2, and so on. Well, it is under certain phenomenon, we can assume that x1, x2 are all independent of each other. Then we have another stochastic process xi, I is equal to 1, 2, 3. That can also be used to define these arrivals. Now, if these x1, x2, x3 are all independent and each one of them are identical and exponentially distributed, then we can say that the number of events that has occurred till time t will obey characteristics which we call it as the Poisson stochastic process. So this is one way in which Poisson stochastic process can be defined. That is, if you look at the number of events that has occurred till time t, and if it has the following property, that if you look at a related stochastic process comprising of x1, x2, x3, if they are all IID exponentially distributed random variables, then n of t is a Poisson stochastic process. The Poisson stochastic process finds very, it's a basic ingredient that is used in coming up with the queuing theory. So when we later discuss queuing theory, we will invoke this Poisson approximation quite often. Then one more thing that we can do is n of t, if you look at it, which is the number of arrivals till time t, n of t is a non-decreasing function. That is, the number of arrivals cannot decrease. It can remain same or it can increase. So we have so far looked at how n of t can be defined, its properties, and we have defined it using the characteristics of a related stochastic process, namely xi, I is equal to 1, 2, 3. Now, where do we encounter Poisson stochastic process, or some examples of the Poisson stochastic process? Consider formation of a queue in a large metropolitan city. The queue may be formed at a railway booking counter, and assuming that we are in an olden time where we don't widely use online booking, people physically go to a railway booking counter to book the railway tickets, or to a theatre to book the tickets for movies, or to other queues to pay some utility bills like electricity bill or some other utility bills. Then in all these formation of a queue, people come to those places from different parts of that city. So essentially the population which can give rise to the customers is very large. So we model it in an idealistic manner by telling that the potential population which can give rise to these events, customers, is infinite. So we have essentially an infinite population from which entities come to a particular place, and we look at the number of entities which arrive. And that arrival process is what we are talking about. So one, if the population is infinite, then we can tell something about the way we want to model that kind of a situation. Then further, each potential customer to this queue comes to the queue out of a requirement which is independent of the requirement of others. Suppose you want to book a ticket, railway ticket, the reason behind your booking would be different from some other customer who comes further. There is no correlation. So each requirement is independent of others. So essentially, mathematically, we model it that we have customers coming from an infinite population, or events that are given rise to a population of infinite entities, and the reason behind these events being generated or the customers arriving are all independent of each other. When these two conditions are met, then the arrival process turns out to be Poisson in nature. So, one, as I have said, is the arrival of customers to a queue such as a railway booking counter. Other can be the birth of a child in a very large country. So again, the population is large and the births are all that take place are all independent of the other births. Then the cosmic particle from stars. Again, the source is very large, infinite, the entire cosmos, and they are all independent. The electrons that come out of a thermionic emission, all these obey this common property that there is an infinite population from which these events are generated, and each event is generated in a manner which is independent of the generation of other events. Then we will put this into a formalism, and therefore we need certain terminologies. The occurrence of each of this event or the arrival, we call it as an epoch. The time difference between two epochs is called as the inter-arrival times or inter-event times or inter-event occurrence times. Although we generally talk about events that occur, because this is closely related, this Poisson process is encountered in queuing system, we more often also use the word inter-arrival times and so on. So each arrival is called as an event. So although we use the terms arrivals, it need not correspond to arrival of customers. Even occurrence of events can also have this property, but this word arrivals is being used, so it has to be understood that it is the same as inter-event occurrence time. Now, the number of events that has occurred till time t, n of t, if you look at it, it is a non-negative integer valued function. N of t has a discrete state space and time t is continuous. N of t is a non-decreasing function. So N of t, which is the number of events that has occurred in a time 0 to t, which means that here the time t is included up to and including t. So we know that N of t is a discrete state continuous time stochastic process. Such a process is called as a counting process. Why do we call it as a counting process? Because this denotes the way what happens when we count certain occurrence of random events. The common characteristic is, because it is we are counting some lumped quantities, discrete quantities, or which occur at specific times, events, customers and so on, then by its own nature the number is a non-negative integer valued one that physically signify a count, and then at any given time t it represents the number of counts that we have, and it is a non-decreasing function. Therefore it is appropriate to call it as a counting process. Well, we will now put some more structure into it so that we can deal with this one. If you look at, for a counting process, if you look at an interval s comma t, where it is closed at time t, it's open at s, which means that the interval s comma t does not include s, but it includes t. Then n of t minus n of s denotes the number of events that has occurred in the duration s to t. So it is an obvious interpretation that we can get by the way that we have defined n of t as the number of events between 0 to t. If you subtract it from that n of s, which is the number of events that has occurred from 0 to s, then obviously n of t minus n of s corresponds to the number of arrivals of customers or occurrence of events in the interval s to t. Let us put some more structure into it. Let us look at two non-overlapping intervals. Let the intervals be defined as t1 to t2 and t3 to t4. What we mean by this is each interval is a non-trivial interval, okay, which means that it is a finite interval. It is not an interval of duration 0, which is of not interest to us. Therefore, t1 is less than or equal to t, usually less than, okay, if it is, we don't want interval to be of 0 sized. Then, because we are talking about non-overlapping interval, this condition we put t1 less than or equal to t2, less than or equal to t3, less than or equal to t4. So t1, t2, t3, t4 at 4 successive time points. So now we define two non-overlapping interval, one between t1 to t2, another between t3 and t4. Then let's look at the number of arrivals in the later interval between t3 and t4 given the number of arrivals in the former interval, that is between t1 and t2. That we write it as probability that n of t4 minus n of t3 equal to n given n of t2 minus n of t1 is equal to m. Okay. If this conditional probability is equal to the probability of number of events that occur between t3 and t4, and if does not depend upon the number of events that has occurred in a non-overlapping interval, then we say that this process is something which is independent increment process, wherein the number of arrivals in non-overlapping intervals are independent to each other. So here we see that number of arrivals m in t2 to t1 is not influencing the number of arrivals in the interval t3 to t4. This is true only when the intervals are non-overlapping. If they are overlapping, then this cannot be true, which means that if you know that between t1 and t2 some events have occurred, and if it overlaps with this one, then we can expect some implication of this in this one, because there is an overlapping interval. This value will tell that something about the possibility of occurrence in that overlapped time interval, and therefore m will influence n. But if they are non-overlapping, then they are independent. This is understandable because let us consider the same example of the number of arrivals of customers to a railway booking counter. If you count the number of arrivals at two non-overlapping interval between 10 to 10:30 and 10:30 to 11, the number of customers who arrive between 10:30 to 11 are not going to depend upon the number of arrivals between 10 to 10:30, because these arrivals, they would have started from their home reaching between 10:30 to 11 in a manner which is no way correlated between some other set of people who arrive between 10 to 10:30. They don't talk to each other and then take a decision to come in a staggered manner and so on. They are all, they come out and join the queue for reasons of their own which are independent of others. That is the reason, that is the rationale behind coming up with this structure, namely the independent increment process. So a counting process n of t, t greater than or equal to 0, satisfies the independent increment property, namely number of arrivals in non-overlapping intervals are independent. then it is called as an independent increment process. Then we will put one more structure into it, which is also very reasonable. That is the number of arrivals between an interval t to t plus tau, okay, and t plus s to t plus s plus tau. Obviously, they are non-overlapping. One is between t and t plus tau, the duration being tau. Another is being shifted by a value of s time units. So it is from t plus s to t plus s plus tau. The duration is tau in both the cases, and if s is finite, if it is greater than tau, then the intervals are non-overlapping. But the number of arrivals in an interval, if it is purely dependent upon the interval size and not on the time at which the interval starts, then we say that the process is stationary, okay, which is again a reasonable one, because if the arrivals are not periodical, do not have some seasonal behavior and so on, so it is the same at all time, then we can say that it is time stationary. If this property is also obeyed by the process that generates the arrivals or the one which generates the event, then we can also put this structure into our process. Then we say that probability that n of t plus tau minus n of t equal to tau, given n of s plus t, s plus tau. This is another way of treating. Let us look at two time points t and s. Duration is tau. So n of t plus tau minus n of t equal to tau n, and given n of s plus tau minus n of s is equal to n is same as n of t plus tau minus n of t equal to n. Okay, see, actually this has to be given, conditional one. What basically it tells is, what matters is only the duration tau and not the exact time s or t. So we will now put all these properties together. One, that is it is a counting process. Next, it is an independent increment process. Then it is a time stationary process. Of course, it is a discrete state continuous time stochastic process. Now, in addition to these properties, if some more structure is put into it, then it becomes a Poisson stochastic process. We now formally define the Poisson stochastic process as follows. A discrete state continuous time process, which is being counting process, n of t greater than or equal to 0, is said to be a Poisson process if it obeys the following properties. 1. This is without loss of generality, we put n of 0 equal to 0. Okay. It need not be like this. We can start the time at an arbitrary point. At that time, we can also have a finite count. It is not going to affect the nature of the process. Without loss of generality, we take that count to be 0. First is the process n of t is independent as independent increment in nature. Property holds good. Then it has stationary increments. That is what we mean when we say that n of t, the number of arrivals in an interval depends only upon the duration of the interval and not on where the interval starts. If in addition to these three properties, counting process, independent increment process, stationary increment nature, if the probability mass function of the Poisson process given by the number of arrivals till a time t starting from 0, that is n of t, taking a value n, is given by the following function, which is e power of minus lambda t power n by n factorial. We know that this is nothing but the Poisson, the PMF for a Poisson random variable. So the number of events that has occurred in till time t, that is basically a Poisson random variable. If that being the case, then the process is called as the Poisson stochastic process. So the number of events that occur in any interval, if it is a Poisson random variable, then a counting process which has an independent increment and stationary increment characteristics is a Poisson stochastic process. So it models the number of arrivals in a time duration, and here there is only one parameter which we have denoted as lambda, and it is interpreted more often as the Poisson arrival rate. So if we fix the time t and look at n of t, and small n being the number of events that has occurred in the duration 0 to t, if that is a Poisson process, Poisson random variable characterized by this function, then n of t is a Poisson stochastic process. The state space obviously is the number of events that has occurred, can take a value 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. First thing we can see is that the at any given n of t at any given time t is a Poisson random variable, and it has this property that it's normalizable, that is sigma n varying from 0 to infinity e power of minus lambda t power n by n factorial equal to 1. We can simply easily find it out by pulling out e power of minus lambda t. The remaining summation is nothing but e power of plus lambda t. Together they give 1. Therefore it is a valid PMF. Some example is the number of customers that arrive to a particular queue. If you assume that the value, the rate at which customers arrive, which we denoted as the parameter lambda, as 0.5 customers per minute. What it means? On the average, 0.5 customers per minute occurs. Or to be more meaningful, we say that one customer in every 2 minutes on the average arrive. Okay. Then if you are told that it is a Poisson stochastic process which this as the rate, if we ask what is the probability of 7 customers arriving in 3 minutes, then we can find it out by plugging it into this formula given by the equation 7. What is it? So the rate lambda is equal to 0.5. The duration is 3 minutes. Therefore, the lambda into t, that product is 3 times 0.5 equal to 1.5. Once we find lambda t, you plug it into this formula. We ask what is the probability that the number of customers in the interval 0 to 3 equal to 7. That is the arrival of 7 customers. So in place of n, you put 7. And in place of lambda t, you put 1.5. So you get e power of minus 1.5, 1.5 power 7 by 7 factorial. Next, one more way in which we can motivate that the Poisson stochastic process and the is a naturally occurring process that can be used as a good model with a broad structure, that the events are given by an infinite population. The reason behind occurrence of each event is independent of others, can be modeled as a Poisson process. The other way of motivating is as follows. Now, if you look at an event which occur because of this characteristics, that is infinite population with independent physical reasoning behind each occurrence of an event. Consider in very small time interval between t and t plus h. Okay. So, and let the event size be very small, but the duration is h. Then if you look at the probability that one event occurs in this interval, that is probability that n of t plus h minus n of t equal to 1. One very rational way of modeling is this probability is going to depend upon the interval size. If the interval is more, the probability has to be more. Okay? Because larger interval means more probability with which one event will occur. The interval size shrinks, the probability will also reduce. Can it be directly proportional? That is the probability of occurrence of one event, can it be assumed to be proportional to the interval size? It can be assumed, and that will also be reasonable, but provided the interval length is very small. You cannot just take it to be directly proportional and for an arbitrary interval size, because the interval can be very large and the proportionality constant can be such that the probability can be even more than 1. That cannot occur. So this proportional linear dependency can be assumed when the interval size is very small. So in the limit h tends to 0, we assume that this probability itself, occurrence of that one event occur, is proportional to the interval length h with a proportionality constant which we will call it as lambda. Then we say that probability that n of t plus h minus n of t equal to 1 is lambda h. So this is a basic axiom with which we construct the Poisson stochastic process. Is it true? It's based on our common sense reasoning, and it turns out that if you actually empirically construct the characteristics of some real world phenomenon, that is arrival of customers or the number of photons that are being counted, or the electronic emission or the occurrence of cosmic particles being detected by a counter, or the number of packets that arrive to a router, or the number of jobs that arrive to a computer center, or queries that are come to a server, web server, and so on. And it so happens that it can be modeled very closely to a Poisson stochastic process. Starting with this basic assumption, it is possible to derive a process, Poisson stochastic process, and therefore we prove the validity of these assumptions by showing it that the experimental findings are validates this. But obviously this will be true only when h is small. When h becomes larger, this linear assumption that the probability of one event occurring to be equal to lambda h breaks down slowly. So there is an error that we introduce in writing that it is equal to lambda h. We will model this error using what is called as an order function. So we will say that there is an error involved in writing this equation, and that error increases with h. And we denote it formally as O of h. So O of h is what we call as a function that is of order h, in the sense that the function decreases faster than h, in the sense that as h tends to 0, the function tends to 0 faster than h. So formally, probability that n of t plus h minus n of t equal to 1 can now be written more formally as lambda h with an error, which we will call it as order h. And what is order h? Order is any function which has the following property. In the limit h tends to 0, order h by h is equal to 0. If this limit exists, then any function which has this property, which has this limiting value, is called as an order h function. Okay. Some of the function which has this order h property can easily be figured out. For example, 3h squared has this property because 3h squared by h is basically 3h, and in the limit h tends to 0, 3h tends to 0. H cube, h power 4, h power 5, all these have order h property. On the other hand, h or 7h does not have order h property because 7h by h is equal to 7, and in the limit h tends to 0, it has a finite value 7. So it's not an order h function. Many other you can also check whether how a trigonometric logarithmic functions behave in this one. All polynomial functions having degree greater than h and their combination will be an order h function. Basically it means that order h function has to, if you plot order h function against h, it has to decrease faster than h. That is what or if you plot order h versus h, it has to be below the linear line, okay, or the ratio has to decrease faster as h tends to 0. It is also trivial to look at how this order h functions will some other properties of order h. If f of h and g of h are two order h functions, their sum will also be an order h functions, because in the limit h tends to 0, f of h plus g of h can be written as limit h tends to 0 f of h plus limit h tends to 0 g of h. Each becomes 0 in the limit, and therefore their sum is also order h. And then a constant times an order h function is also an order h, and so on. Now coming back to this process, Poisson process, we assumed that probability of occurrence of one event in the interval t to t plus h is lambda h plus order h. Then probability of occurrence of 0 events has to be 1 minus lambda h plus order h. Okay. Again, this is another thing we put. That again, before that we have to mention how do we model occurrence of more than one event. When the interval size shrinks, these events, because they occur from independent physical processes, occurrence of two or more events within the interval, okay, are very improbable. In this sense, formally, their probability decreases to 0 as h tends to 0. So we put these additional constraints. Probability of occurrence of 2 events or 3 events, their probabilities are so small that they are order h. Again, now if you want to normalize it, we have to put the condition that occurrence of 0 events has a probability 1 minus lambda h plus order h. Now if you add all them together to check whether they are normalized, it will be equal to 1 plus order h. We have seen that if we add all the order h functions like f of h and g of h, they are all order h. This minus lambda h and plus lambda h cancels, we have 1. So 1 plus order h. So in the limit h tends to 0, order h becomes 0, their probability all add up to 1. So now it is normalized. Now we have put it in a more formal way. Now with this basic definition, we will look at how the Poisson PMF naturally arises when we look at a Poisson stochastic process. Consider an interval of size t plus h. Okay, that is between from the time 0 to the time point t plus h, which we written as n of t plus h, or we can give a shorthand notation p small n of t plus h. See, probability that n of t plus h equal to n means the number of events that occur in the interval starting from 0 to t plus h is n. To give a shorthand notation, we write it as p small n t plus h. T plus h gives the time point t plus h where we are counting, where we are looking at n of t process, and small n is the number for which we are seeking the probability. So this probability, which basically tells the number of events that occur till the time t plus h for it to be equal to n, this can be found out using the following reasoning. So to have n events in the interval 0 to t plus h, one possibility is to have n events in the interval 0 to t and no events in the interval t to t plus h. Another is to have n minus 1 events in 0 to t and 1 event in t to t plus h, and n minus 2 events in 0 to t and 2 events in t to t plus h, and so on. Now we call this, we will take this probability that n of t plus h is equal to n, but instead use this shorthand notation, that is p n t plus h, probability of n events occurring in the duration t plus h. So if you look at the first condition, these two intervals are non-overlapping, and therefore we can use the independent increment nature and multiply the probability of occurrence of each of these events. Further, they are time stationary, so it depends only on the interval size and not on where the interval has occurred. So here this probability of occurrence of n events in 0 to t is what you would have called it as Pn of t by this convention. So this event is Pn of t, and one event in t to t plus h is what we will denote it as lambda h plus, sorry, this is no event, first is no event, that is what would be 1 minus lambda h plus order h. So this first one is a multiplication of Pn of t and this 1 minus lambda h plus order h. And the next one is n minus 1 event in 0 to t is again using the same convention, it is p n minus 1 t, and one event in t to t plus h is from this is lambda h plus order h, and this is p n minus 2 of t, this has to be t, okay, this should also be t, multiplied by 2 events or 3 events in these intervals, they are all of order h. So you have to multiply all these as order h. Multiplication of any function which order h will be order h. So you don't need to look at these things, they are all will be order h, and here you can pull out order h terms. Anything on multiplication which order h is order h, all these can be simply written as one order h terms. So those terms which are free of order h multiplication alone need to be written out. What are they? One is Pn of t plus h on the left hand side. On the right hand side, Pn of t gets multiplied with 1, so that is present. Here Pn minus 1 of t multiplied with lambda h, that is also there with a minus sign. See here, minus lambda h p n of t, so this one. And here if you see plus lambda h p n minus 1 of t into h plus order h. Okay. Now we can rewrite it. We will take this, of course we have taken already Pn of t, okay, here. So the Pn of t has been taken here. Now what we will do is we will divide it by h and take the limit h tends to 0. On this side we will have limit h tends to 0, Pn of t plus h minus Pn of t divided by h. And here h will go in all these terms. We will have minus lambda into Pn of t, this one, minus lambda into Pn of t, and here lambda into Pn minus 1 of t, plus limit h tends to 0 order h by h. See, we have multiplied by h and taken this one. And we know that this becomes 0. And this is nothing but the definition of the derivative of Pn of t. Therefore, we can write it as Pn of t dash, where dash indicates derivation with respect to t. So we get minus lambda Pn of t plus lambda Pn minus 1 of t. Basically, we have got a differential equation for Pn of t. But of course, this is true only when n is greater than or equal to 1. Why? Because we have told that one event occurring in 0 to t and no event and so on. If totally there is only one event we are looking at occurring in this interval, the only way it can occur, that is probability that the 0 events occur. If you look at it, probability that the 0 events occur in t plus h, the only way it can occur is 0 events in t and 0 events in t to t plus h. Only we have to multiply these two. Only this condition can lead to 0 events in t plus h. So this again will lead to a differential equation which will be P0 t dash equal to minus lambda P0 t in a similar manner. So we have got two differential equations. One this, which is valid for n greater than or equal to 1, and another this, which is valid for n is equal to 0. We will see, you can easily see that solution for this set of equation is simply this. That is Pn of t equal to n is e power of minus lambda t power n by n factorial. So this is how the Poisson stochastic process is characterized by the Poisson PMF prescription. So with this introduction to the Poisson stochastic process, we will stop. We will look at the properties of the Poisson stochastic process in the following lecture. Thank you.